and parallelograms. Both of these shapes have another name. They have another name. What's up, Lily?
Polygon.
They can be called a polygon. That is fine. So trapezoids and parallelograms are polygons. They follow the same rule as a polygon. It's not the best name for them, but it's a name. It's kind of like me calling Billy, hey you. Is it a name?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a you. It's a person. But that's not Billy's best name. A better name for these shapes is a quadrilateral. So what does that tell you about a trapezoid or a parallelogram? If these are quadrilaterals, what does that mean for us? Eric? Yeah, they have 4 sides and 4 angles. Riley, is there a reason you're not writing anything down? Jordan, what's up?
Doesn't polygon have to have like all the same sides and all straight sides, and don't they all have to be the same length?
No, they do not have to be the same length. And you did not draw same length sides on Friday. If you look at all of our polygons we drew on Friday, they are all kinds of crazy shapes. They do have to have straight sides, and these do have straight sides, but they can be any length you want them to. So again, just like my example with Billy, I could call him Hey You, kind of like saying, you're a polygon. A better name might be Hey Third Grader. I'm narrowing it down, I'm getting more specific. And now I'm going to get even more specific, so instead of saying Hey You or Hey Third Grader, I'm going to say Hey Billy. Call it by its best name. Today we're going to be talking about trapezoids and parallelograms, which are those shapes' best names. So if you would please make a subtitle, and your subtitle is trapezoids. Oops. The attributes of a trapezoid. What's an attribute? What does that word mean? Going over attributes. What are attributes? You don't know. The answer is not sitting looking at my pretty face. Barrett, what's an attribute? Nope. Lainey, what's an attribute? Yes, we're talking about rules. Talking about rules. Please do not color on erasers. They don't work very well when you do that. Alright, first rule is we know a trapezoid is a quadrilateral. I just told you that. That's a name for those shapes, which means it has 4 sides and 4 angles. That's what that means. We know that. We know that this shape is a polygon. That is a name for it. That means it has straight sides and no holes. We already know that. So what makes a trapezoid different? A common example of what a trapezoid looks like, typically it has a short top, a longer base, and then the sides connect like this. be another rule for this shape? This is just one way to draw a trapezoid. There's many different ways. Dorian, what do you think?
I think that like all angles aren't the same degree because like the small, because like the ones on the bottom, like you can see that like you can make like a bigger,
Sure.
triangle with like a circle bottom.
So Dorian noticed that the angles all look a little different. They're not that right angle that we talked about where we make our L, we put our square corner in. Not one of those. It's not anything to do with angles because we can make a trapezoid a little different and it will have a right angle. But that was a good observation. Aiden, what do you think? Sometimes I can draw a trapezoid that looks like this. Does that have square corners?
Yes.
That is also a trapezoid.
But how come?
What else could be a rule for our trapezoid other than 4 sides, 4 angles, straight sides, no holes? Mason?
That it cannot have any circle shape.
Yeah, we got that with straight sides. Cade, what do you think?
If it has 4 sides, can't it be like a square or a rectangle?
But a trapezoid is not a square or a rectangle.
Why can't they be called the same thing? Both have 4 sides.
They're not all the same thing. That does not look like a square or a rectangle.
No, but it has 4 sides.
Yeah, those are all called quadrilaterals because the rule of a quadrilateral is 4 sides, but it's not a trapezoid. Kylie, what do you think?
It doesn't have all square sides. You can have square sides, but it can't have all square.
Okay, I like that. So Kylie noticed in these both examples, we can't have all square corners. And that is true. We cannot have all square corners. And the reason for that is we have one set of what's called parallel sides or lines. One set of parallel sides.
Oh, I get it.
Raise your hand if you've heard of parallel before. A couple of you? The way I always remember parallel, and this is just because I did gymnastics as a kid, but if you watch men's gymnastics, they compete on what's called the parallel bars. And there's 2 bars that run side by side, and they kind of like push themselves up in the middle like this.
Yeah.
Like what you guys do on 2 chairs.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? No, I don't need an example. Those 2 items are parallel. So we're going to pause this, we're going to subtitle, and then we're going to come back. So your new subtitle under this, because we're going to talk about what does that mean to have parallel sides. What does that even mean? Parallel sides are when you have I told you, Aiden, I can read minds. Part of the job. You're thinking about how Miss Willer's going to yell at you if you don't start writing. Huh? Parallel lines, 2 sides or 2 lines that could go on forever. You kind of have to imagine them going on forever and ever. And they will never, ever touch. They will never, ever run into each other. So, for example, if I have 2 sides here and here, if you imagine those 2 lines going up and down forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, they will not touch. Kind of like railroad tracks, right? They don't ever touch. They'll connect with other lines, but the 2 rails won't ever touch. Okay? One example, if you would hold up your arms of parallel sides, like this. If your arms went on forever and ever, they would not touch. Could you make parallel sides like this?
Yeah.
Going diagonal.
No.
If my arms go on forever and ever, are they going to touch? So these are parallel. I can make parallel sides that are diagonal. Kinda. What about like this?
Yeah.
Are those parallel? Yes, if they go on forever and ever and ever, my arms would not touch. So having horizontal lines. All of those are examples of parallel sides. Parallel sides are opposite of each other. They're not going to touch. So if I look at a triangle, do I have any parallel sides that don't touch? No. All those sides touch. They'll run into each other at some point. Yes. Let's look at a square. As best I can draw a square. Show me with your arms where any parallel sides might be. So we have up and down. Up and down. Those are parallel. Anything else? Side to side this way. Those are parallel. They don't ever touch. So a square has two sets of parallel sides. One on top and bottom, one on side and side. Can you think of another shape that also has two sets of parallel sides?
Oh.
Lily?
Rectangle.
A rectangle. Even though a rectangle is usually longer on one side, it's got parallel sides going up and down. It's got parallel sides on the sides. Yes. The opposite sides are parallel. So this side, and this side are parallel. And then this side and this side are parallel. Does that make sense? So Kylie, you're exactly right. At the corners, they do touch. So my top line and my side line, those are not parallel because they do run into each other. But my top and my bottom line, those two, because they're opposites, are parallel. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go back and visit our trapezoid. It said there is one set of parallel sides. Look at this shape. Can you find the parallel sides where if they go on and on forever and ever, they won't touch? Lily Marie, can you find them? Yep, but can you find my parallel sides? Very good. If I look at my top and my bottom, even though they're not the same length, ooh, that was really crooked. If I imagine them going on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, they are never, ever going to touch. They look like this. What about my sides, though?
Yeah.
What about these guys?
They'll go like.
If they go on forever and ever, are they going to touch?
Yes. Yes.
And crash. So they are not parallel. Show me with your arms, where are the parallel sides on this shape? Show me with your arms. Show me with your arms, where are the parallel sides on this shape? Yep, we're looking at opposite sides. So on this one, they're going up and down. What's going on with my top and bottom, are they going to be parallel? No. One is nice and straight, but the other one kind of looks like this. And he's going to crash into my bottom one. So my top and bottom are not parallel. A trapezoid will only have one set of parallel sides. Yes. Did you have a question, Aiden? No. What's up, Lily?
So I found out looking at I forgot what it's called.
A trapezoid?
Yeah. When I look at it, it's kind of like a triangle, but the one line at the top, if you take that away, the triangle crashes.
Yep, and so then we don't have any parallel sides anymore. Yep, Kylie?
I realized something that the rules kind of go together because you have to at least have two. You only can have two parallel sides. But if you have more than parallel sides, then you'll have squaring.
Yes, very good. Parallel sides are related to square angles. Not completely, but a lot of times you will have square angles with parallel sides. Parallel sides also go in pairs. Think like your shoes. You don't go buy one shoe at the store. You have to buy them both. You can't just have one parallel line. It's not parallel to anything. It's just a line. You have to have another line to make them parallel. Does that make sense? You can't just have one shoe. You can't just have one line and call it parallel. They have to have a partner. Said, what if I don't have a parallel set in my trapezoid? What if I make my angles too funky? Then it's not a trapezoid anymore. It has to have that parallel line group to be a trapezoid. What's that? What's that? So it is not quite spelled pair, but it does sound like it when you say it. Also, are there parallel lines in the word parallel?
Yes.
Weird. Those double L's are parallel. If those L's went on forever and ever and ever, they would be considered parallel lines. Grayson, what's that?
Does pair mean like they won't ever pair?
Pair just means two. That's not how you would spell it. The word pair is spelled P-A-I-R, like a pair of shoes, meaning more than one. Okay? Kind of. But does this make sense? Our trapezoid? We're okay on the trapezoid?
Yeah.
Question, or are you just telling me stuff? Okay, hang on to it. Alright, we're moving on to parallelogram. Make that the title of your next blank page, please. Parallelogram. Based on the word parallelogram, what do you think I'm going to find in a parallelogram? And it's not grams. Nick, what do you think? Three what? Does it have the prefix tri? Like triangle? No? Lainey? We're probably going to have parallel sides. Because of this word parallelogram, we're going to have some parallel sides. A parallelogram is a polygon, which means parallelograms also have to have straight sides and no holes. A parallelogram is also a quadrilateral, which means parallelogram also has four sides, four angles. Hang on. We gotta throw in that parallel part. A parallelogram is different from a trapezoid because it has two sets of parallel sides. Our trapezoid, if you remember, only had one set. A parallelogram has two. So, a common way to draw a parallelogram is like this. Show me with your arms where are some parallel sides in this shape. We have a couple of options. Alright, I see quite a few of you doing our diagonals. You are correct. If I keep those diagonals going forever and ever 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 and ever, they will not touch. They will not go over each other. They'll stay just like this forever and ever. If it goes over, then it's not parallel. They have to be straight and the same distance. I see a lot of you doing top and bottom. Our top and bottom lines are also, parallel. If they go on forever and ever, they will not touch. Aiden, what's that?
After a decagon, can just like numbers, can we keep going?
Yes. Yes, but we're not messing with decagons right now because we're still playing in the world of quadrilaterals. Lily?
I realize a lot of shapes have L's in them. Does that have anything to do with a polygon?
Maybe. I don't know. Not that I'm aware of, but could be. Yep. Go for it.
So, can there be like 3 sets or 4 sets or 5 sets of parallel sides?
So Lainey asked me this question earlier. Yes, but it won't be a shape really anymore. In the example I gave is you could have parallel sides like this, right? All of those are parallel, but is that a shape? How do I connect it? Do you see what I'm saying? Like it gets very complicated.
But what about like an octagon or something?
You would have multiple sets of parallel sides, but you don't have to in an octagon. Most of them just look parallel. Does that make sense? I want you to draw this shape. What do we know that shape as? What is that shape's best name that most of us call it? Gio? Most of us call it a rectangle. Could you call that shape a polygon? Yes, that would still be right. Just maybe not the best name, but that would still be right. Could I call that shape a quadrilateral? Yeah, it has 4 sides. Billy, sit up. Could I call that shape, trick question, Theo staring at the wall is not going to help you answer the trick question. Could I call that shape a parallelogram?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's look at the rules. Is it a polygon?
Yes.
Is it a quadrilateral?
Yes.
Does it have 2 sets of parallel sides?
Yes.
Show me. Like Vogue in here. We have up and down, and we have top and bottom. 2 sets of parallel sides. So this shape can be called a parallelogram. Are we good on this? Geometry is tricky because it's very language heavy. You have to remember what all the words mean. It's not really doing any math in terms of adding or subtracting, but it's a lot of language. Yes?
And connected the Indians like tassel pot.
Great. Alright, So what we are going to do now is we're going to do a little sort. So if you would please keep your math notebook out, you're going to need it. This is not a race by any imagination. I want you using your notes to try and sort these shapes correctly. So what I have got is an activity, and you're going to get out your computer.
Oh, I know what this
And on your computer, you're going to go to hellosmart.com. It's going to ask you a code. That's your code. I don't know. I know there's a space in there, but I think it's separated like a phone number just to help you memorize it earlier, or easier. You're separating or sorting these shapes into whether or not they are a trapezoid or a parallelogram. Some of them are different colors. Some of them have arrows. The arrows don't mean anything. Just look at the shape. So if you would please get out your laptop, and I'll be answering questions in just a second. Hunter, what's that?